Well, I just realized that we just passed the 50 mark on our Mission of God for the Family series, which is really exciting for me because that means that we've done 50 of these. But also, this is something that I have been studying and working on for so many years, 20 more than 25 years, and just gathering research together on the nature of the family and what God created the family for. And as I've been doing that, I've wondered exactly what to do with it. Should I write a book? Should I, but because it was I primarily brought it together for my family, right? So that I could be a dad, be a husband. That was really what most of this was about. And now getting to see other people blessed by it, and the feedback that I've gotten from people, and pictures of them putting into practice some of the training has been such a huge blessing. And I uh, um, uh, showed my wife the some of the pictures of people using some of our the training methods that we came up with that were so much fun, and seeing the overflow of blessing that we were blessed, just to be in places where we got good teaching, to be blessed with to come across the right books at the right time, and we're always so grateful for that. And now getting to see it spread and other people be blessed by it is it's doubly blessed, double blessing, quadruple blessing, the multiplication of blessings. I don't know, math isn't my strong suit. So but we're talking right now about the authority of a mother, right? um, Proverbs 31 starts out the words of King Lemuel, the utterance which his mother taught him. Right, so Proverbs 31 is a queen mother teaching a king how the world works, how to rule well, and he records it down for other kings to use eventually. Right, he wants to see what he learned from his mother spread. He says, "What, my son, and what son of my womb, and what son of my vows." Now, throughout our life, my wife, who is incredibly wise and also incredibly hilarious, um, we have we have a loud family, right? Some families are quiet and calm, and they enjoy one another that way. We have a pretty loud family. They they we laugh loud. We tell jokes loud. We it's and I know we are kind of those loud Americans that Europeans always complain about. Um, uh, but one of the things that my wife often does is, when she's talking to her boys and they do something that that's just like, oh my gosh, that was dumb. I gotta teach them out of that kind of uh dumb boyness. She'll say, "All right, son of my womb," or she'll say, "Okay, get over here, son of my vows." Uh, um, and and then they know that they're about to get a lesson, right there. And throughout their whole life, they've been pulled aside and taught, right? Explicitly taught. Let me tell you, do you see when you did that? Did you see the reaction of your sisters? Did you see the face that your sister made for you, right? Or to our girls, did when that happened, do you understand what that communicated, what you did, what that communicated, right? When you wear that outfit, do you see that this is what that communicates, right? Do you understand? And so I've watched my wife do that. And since our kids were very little, and it's taking the time, taking the moments, and taking the opportunities. When we're out in public, she'll often do it when we get home because she doesn't want to embarrass our kids and that sort of thing. But taking those times, taking those moments to ask, what did you see? And let me tell you what I saw, and let me help you not just see from your perspective, but also see from your mom's perspective, right? Because eventually, a boy is going to grow up and need to be able to see from his wife's perspective. A girl is going to grow up and need to be able to see from her husband's perspective. So you don't want to squash out the perspective of your child. And this is something I've just learned watching my wife. This is not something that I figured out, or is, I just saw my wife do this, right? Is add her perspective to their perspective, right? She would want to hear their perspective and then add her perspective, right? So that and what was amazing is seeing how that's how our kids learn to be compassionate. And I'm not a naturally super compassionate person. I don't I when it took me a long time to learn how to understand my wife's perspective and hear it and understand it. Um, but my kids have grown up much more compassionate because my wife has been regularly teaching her kids how to see from her perspective, right? And she does that by hearing their perspective. What do you think that you were communicating when you did that? Right. When you said that, what did you think you're communicating? Okay, let me tell you what I heard. Do you see how what you said was interpreted by me this way? Um, and okay, I can see that's what you meant to say. How do you think you could have communicated that in such a way that I would have seen what you were trying to do, right? And walking my kids through that, and to now, they will come to her asking for her perspective. What do you think about this situation? Because they know that she is has been always trying to help them see from their perspective, ask themselves, learn how to ask themselves, what did I communicate, and learn to see from another person's perspective as well. That she is always trying to not squash them, but raise them up into somebody that's wise. But she's very forthright about other sorts of foolish situations that they might find themselves in. And we see that in the next passage of Proverbs, where King Lemuel grew up with a mom that would just tell him, "Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to that which destroys kings." Right? Right. So, we had all sorts of uh, phrases, um, that kind of woman is trying to destroy you, or look out, there's a woman that's out to destroy men. When you would see the kind of woman, in a movie or something. Um, to just be clear and straightforward with teaching that, right? When in the situations where it's clear and straightforward, right? Not every situation is clear and straightforward, but you learn how to navigate the difficult ones by navigating the clear, straightforward ones. And so you internalize, or you want your kids to be internalizing the wisdom of clear and straightforward situations, and so that when they get to the difficult ones, you can help navigate those ones, right? So, the way that people dress, for example, right? If you it That's dependent upon the culture that you're in. That's dependent upon the where you're being raised, right? Different place. If you're in Florida versus Maine versus Illinois versus California, right? There's going to be different uh, aspects of fashion uh, that that make navigating some of those things different. Because if you're in Portland, the way uh, you know combat boots are interpreted is going to be different than if you're being raised on a naval base, right? Combat boots mean different things in different situations. Um, but there are some things that are that are going to be clear, right? So um, if a woman is being seductive, if a man is bullying, right? If they are taking pleasure in the pain of somebody else, right? You can say, well, you can be very straightforward in situations where you say that guy is acting this way, right? That that's clear. This woman is acting this way. That's clear. And then, uh, so then when you get to situations that aren't as clear, you can say, well, we know the principles, the clear principles. So now we can navigate a hard situation using those principles. And but you can't navigate the hard situations if you don't develop principles from the straightforward situations, right? And that's why when um, King Lemuel begins, he says, my mom would just tell me straightforward things like this, right? There are women that will try to destroy you. Do not give your strength to the women that are going to try to destroy you, right? It is not, your strength is not safe with certain women. So, uh, so avoid that kind of women. Uh, um, and there are things that will destroy your authority as a king, right? And so the first one she goes into is drunkenness. It's not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes intoxicating drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the justice of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to those who are bitter of heart. Let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. Right? So he says, or she says, you have a duty to rule and judge. Do not take a bottle of wine with you to the throne. Do not take a bottle of wine with you to the judgment seat, right? You have a responsibility to be a good king, and you have to be clear-headed and love justice, and you protect the weak. Right? That there's a straightforward way to ruin your judgments, and that is wine, right? That is being drunk. And so don't take wine with you, uh, to into the jury box. Don't take wine with you up to the judge's seat. Don't take wine with you onto the throne. That's not the kind of king that gives justice. You that wants to. You want to be clear-headed when you are. When you are in your position, acting out your authority, or in your position of authority. um, and then uh, she says, and open your mouth for the speechless and the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and the needy. Right. So he says, don't be the kind of king who doesn't take being a judge seriously, who is self-centered, self-righteous, looks at himself and says, "Oh, poor me." You're a king. Act like one. Don't. And then you're a judge. Act like one. Love justice. Don't give rich people preference over the poor. Judge righteously. Plead the cause of the poor and the needy. Right? So he starts by saying, as a king, you have a particular authority. You're taking on a particular office. Take that office seriously and do and embody it, inhabit it righteously. And that's something that moms should be raising up in their kids. Take you when you have you're going to everybody is going to end up, well, almost everybody is going to end up in some sort of office, right? Whether it's father, mother, husband, wife, whether it's an office, a civic office, it's an ecclesiastical office, right? We're all in different sort of situations where we have a job to do, a calling to do. Do that calling, right? When if you're a judge, judge righteously, right? If you're a husband, be the best husband that you can be. If you're a mom, if you're a wife, be the best at whatever calling God puts you in. Do it with all your heart. Or, Colossians says, do it heartily, meaning with all your heart. And that is something that Lemuel learned from his mom from when he was young. He was getting this sort of wisdom, this sort of advice. Um, they were walking through the world, and his mom said, "You are my pupil." and I am going to teach you how this world works. That means that he had a mom that was also pursuing wisdom to be able to be a good mom, which is something that we should all be doing. But she had that authority because she brought him into the world. Right? It's very simple. That he is the son of her womb. That gives her the authority to train him on how the world works. Right? That and wearing that comfortably, I brought you into this world. Let me teach you about it. Wearing that comfortably is something that by faith we can do. Um, because we know that God's the one that put us in this situation. And sometimes it's through adoption. You are my child, right? There's a covenant authority that makes it the responsibility of mom to give wisdom, to teach how the world works. And you know, this is culturally why we hold the door open for women, right? Women are the doors through which we come into the world, and so we hold doors for them. I know in Africa, they uh, men walk through the door first uh, because um, because there might be because women are important, and we want to make sure there's no threat on the other side of the door, right? So there's different ways of expressing it. Culturally, we say women are important, and so we open doors for them in order to show them honor. And in Africa, they say women are important, so we open doors and we go through them to show them to protect them, right? So there's different cultural expressions, but the importance is that that we are setting out to culturally express that God placed women as that they're intended to be avenues of wisdom, that they are a wisdom delivery system, right? Eve is a wisdom delivery system when she was created, right? That God embeds wisdom and a particular view of the world in women, that when they're safe and when they're honored, that that an institution receives that wisdom and is blessed by it. And here in the family, the children are the ones that receive the blessing of the wisdom of a mother who who explains to them how the world works, right? And that's a huge important part. And it's easy um, to think, well, I don't know everything, um, and uh, uh, the what you don't have to know everything to be a mom university, right? You have, but what you do know, you should communicate to your kids. And if they are like, I don't want to listen, I'm not interested in listening. First, dad should be, um, dads should be saying, hey, your mom has a lot to teach you. Make sure you're listening, right? That's an important thing for dads to be communicating to their kids. We our kids, we had a number of different kind of uh, obey the, and my kids would say law of your mother, right? Different sayings that where I would start them and they would finish them. And we would, when they were being, you know, when they were going, when their mom would ask them to do something and they'd go limp. Well, I don't want to do, to right now, can I do it later? um we I would say obey the, and they would say law of your mother, right? It's just the way of reminding them what they already knew, but they were forgetting in that moment. And then we only had a couple of rules, but one of them was listen to your mother, right? That was, so our house rules, we had uh, don't lie, listen to your mother, and love one another. Those are the house rules. And then what we called the Farley family rules, where don't get out of if Billy Idol's on the radio, you can't get out of the car. We called it respect the idol. If Adele was on the radio, you had to sing. And if Footloose was on the radio, you had to dance, right? And the reason that we came up with my wife came up with some other fun family rules was because we wanted some positive things, that because the family rules are one of the things that how you claim your kids as your own, right? Hebrews tells us that family rules are a way of claiming your kids. You're ours. These rules apply to you. They don't apply to whoever walks through the door. But they do apply to you because you're ours. And so we tried to come up with some fun versions of the or some positive family rules that made us us. Um, the so when Billy Idol came on the radio, it, I wouldn't let our kids get out of the car to go to school, and it would really stress out my oldest daughter because she was the one that was like, I care about following the rules. My other kids were like, yes, we don't have to go into school yet. But and now they look back on some of those moments and think it's funny, but at the time they're like, Dad, we got to go. And I was like, you're Farleys, you can't. This is what we do, right? Where there are things that make us us, and we wanted some positive ones that were just for fun, as a way of claiming our kids as ours. And so there's all sorts of just things that we loved. Music has been a big part of how we live and act as a family, and so we came up with some around music. So, but the law of your mother is so centrally important to the way wise children are formed. Children are formed into wise adults, that it's important for moms to just learn how to wear that authority comfortably. And if it's hard for you to wear that authority as a mom, or if you see that it's hard for your wife to wear that authority, just remember that you brought them into the world, right? They came into the world through you, and that is an embedded imago Dei type of moment, right? God is a father, and so he made us parents, right? And the you are reflecting God by women are reflecting God. Um, they are living out the image of God when a child is born through them, because Jesus is the only begotten Son of the Father, right? So uh, now we are not eternal beings, so we aren't eternally in those relationships. So we have to work the image of God out through time, in order to reflect it well, because we're not eternal beings. But you are imaging the God. You're imaging the triune God by bringing children into the world, and so that image of God is where God seats the authority, the covenantal authority. So it's not seated in your understanding or your wisdom, right? It's not seated in your ability. It's seated in the image of God that you are made in. So you can wear that authority comfortably, right? A father can wear his fatherhood comfortably because it's seated in the image of God, right? Having that authority is a way of imaging God to your children. Having the authority of a mother is a way of imaging God to your children. So you don't have to be uncomfortable with the authority. You can be comfortable in the authority. Now, you want to image God in the way that you use it, right? You want to be kind and loving and just and clear, and the authority you should be a blessing to your children, but you can wear it comfortably because it's seated in the image of God in you, and so it's a blessing to your children when you exercise the authority of being a mother. It's a blessing to your children when you exercise the authority of being a father, and you exercise it in a way that reflects the kindness and generosity and grace and justice of God, right? All of those things, you want to reflect those things, but not wielding the authority doesn't solve the problem. Doesn't solve any problems. It only causes more problems, because the authority is an imago Dei type of authority. So, um, as a mom, be the university that your children need, right? Be the one who's training them in the way the world works by living according to it, and then learning it and teaching them about it, and your children will be blessed by that.